What's up, y'all? This is Dominic with PoorPumperSociety. So I'm out here at a property that my dad and my brother came out to. They located, dug up, and pumped out the septic tank. Now, if the septic tank's buried and the homeowner has no idea where it is, we can come out here and we have the equipment and skills necessary to locate and dig up the tank. Now, in order to locate and dig up the tank, we do charge a fee. So what happens a lot of times is the customer does not want to constantly have to pay to have the septic tank dug up. So what we can do is we can install risers. Now, what a septic tank riser is pretty much just an extension from the tank access port to the surface. Now, they can be made up of concrete, corrugated pipe, and the ones we're going to install today are tough-tight risers. These are really heavy-duty plastic risers, and what we're going to do is mount them to the tank, and that way in the future the septic tank will never have to be dug up again. So you can see here's the edge of the house. So to code, the septic tank is supposed to have a clean out right there leading to the septic tank, but there's not one on here. And we have the inlet to the septic tank and we have the outlet. So this is a 1,000-gallon 2-compartment septic tank. And another reason I really recommend installing risers is because when you pop open the inlet right here, you can see that inlet baffle, that's the pipe coming into the septic tank. So if you're ever having issues with a clog and you don't have a sewer clean out to do anything with it, you can pop open the inlet and you can run a SeeSnake drain cleaner from the inlet towards the house. Or 9 times out of 10, the clog is right here in that inlet baffle. So you can just use a stick or something and pop it out until you can get a septic pumper out there. Now, we're here in Central Texas. You can see that nice dirt we have. So a lot of times the customer just doesn't want to dig it up themselves. And we'll dig it up. We charge to dig it up. So that's when these risers come in. We can do a install. And then next time we come out to pump, between the next 2 to 5 years, the customer will not have to pay for the dig fee. We will just show up, unscrew the lids, and get to pumping. So it makes everybody happy, and it also gives you a really visible location of where your septic tank is. That way you don't have anybody trying to run it over. And let's play guess where the drain field is. Anyone? I wonder. No, that's the drain field over there, if you're wondering. That really bright strip of green. That's the only thing green out here during this Texas drought. So here we got the tough tight septic tank risers. So you can see we've got the tank adapter right there. And then this is the riser that is a 20-inch diameter and 12 inches in height. So if you get these risers, what you want to look for, you see that right there. This other side does not have it. So this is what you use to stack them up like that. And then you screw them down. You can see if you try it the other way, it's not gonna go. It's not gonna fit together. So you got your tank adapter, and what we're gonna do, we're just gonna add one 12-inch riser to bring that to above grade. So what we're gonna do is put all this together, and that's what it'll look like. So we're gonna mount this to the tank. They've got holes around here that you can use to tap con this down. But what we've been doing is we'll throw some foam on the bottom, and you also want to make sure you put foam or butyl to make a gasket. That way you don't have any water or anything else able to make its way through the riser. And then we just stick it to the top of the tank. Now, the soil here packs really hard and tight. So we've showed up to a lot of jobs and we've never seen any instances of water making its way, or anything, roots, dirt, making their way through the riser and to the tank. So you want to make sure you seal this off correctly. I know a lot of people, they even use Quikrete or concrete to get those onto the tank. So tap con them down and seal it, or you can just use this foam and the weight of the dirt should keep it in place. But it's all preference. I haven't seen any issues with it. So what I'm gonna do now is I gotta widen this hole to get that mount to fit. You can see we still got a ways to go. So I'm gonna put these concrete caps back on and then open up this hole some more on both sides. Now, if you get some risers, what you want to do is when you find that lid opening, you want to measure that. So when you order risers, so this lid is about 20 inches. So the inside diameter of that riser mount is 20 inches. Now with that mount that you're going to use to put the riser on, that sticks out to about 26 inches. So I'm opening this hole to a 26-inch diameter all the way around before I start piecing everything together. And when you order risers, you want to make sure that the inside diameter is going to be big enough to fit your lid. Here's that one I broke just now. So we got the hole opened up. Let's see if the mount's going to fit. And looks like we got a fit. So I'm gonna come in with some brushes and get all this cleaned up and then get ready to mount the risers on. So now that we've sized up our mount, make sure it's gonna fit, I'm gonna get a little brush, clean all this extra sediment out from the hole. After I hit it with this brush, I'm gonna hit it one more time with a wire brush. Make sure I get everything nice and smooth for this mount to be sealed off to the tank. Don't want any little rocks getting in between. And then finish it off one more time with a little brush. Little regular brush. Feel like Bob Ross painting. Just make some happy little trees right here with the dirt. So now you see that's all nice and clean. That way when we get our mount, it'll go directly to the concrete on the tank and not to any little excess specks of dirt or rock. So I will make sure to clean this off again after showing y'all that example, and then before I get everything sealed off, just to make sure it's nice and smooth. And whenever you do that, you want to go ahead and lift this lid up. You don't want to put the riser on while that cap is on. And then a lot of times too, I'll show you, so you can either choose to leave these concrete caps in. The deeper the riser is, it's going to be harder to pull that up and out. I know up north where y'all have to worry about freezing, y'all bury these things super deep. So in instances like that, you don't want to have to reach in there with something and pull this heavy ass lid out. So they do have a secondary safety lid or a safety pan that you can put on, and that just acts as a fail safe. If something happens to that first lid, you don't have anybody falling all the way down into the tank. So got this side cleaned up. I'm going to move over to the outlet side and do the exact same thing, and then we'll work on mounting our riser. So if you go ahead and get risers, you need to get a mount, the riser itself, and a lid. Now if you're going to keep the concrete plug, you don't have to get this, but if you're going to delete the concrete original lid, you're going to want to get a safety pan. Now that is going to slip right there inside the riser. That way if something happens with this first lid up top, you have something else right here. That way you don't have an animal or a small child falling and potentially injuring themselves or worse. So you see we've got the mount right here, and remember I was telling y'all want to look for that groove right here. Now when you order from Wholesale Septic, they're going to send you a tub of this right here. So if you do go that route, they're going to send the entire kit with some screws and you want to make sure you have a caulk gun like this. Now, depending on how tall you make these risers, for sure on this initial one, you're going to have to make a gasket out of the sealant. So you're going to get this and go all the way around right here, and then put it right there on the tank adapter. What that's going to do is that's going to make sure you don't have any water, roots, things like that making their way through the riser and into the tank. What we really like using is this right here. Great stuff, Pond and Stone. So I'm going to find that groove right there and spray while turning this, or you can make it easy, you can just follow along right there, make a gasket. So you can see we got that sealant right there, and now we're going to match up these screw holes, press it down, and you're going to want to make sure you have a drill and use these screws to screw down the riser to the tank adapter. I'll make sure you got these screw holes lined up. And I've seen a lot of people, they have trouble actually working their way down. So what I do is I kind of angle these screws a little bit. That way you don't strip a screw, and press down, let it drill. Right there, nice and secure. So we're gonna work our way all the way around. I believe there's 8 screws we gotta get in there. You can see that's what happens, and then you're gonna skin your finger. So there we have our riser screwed down to the tank adapter, and we've got a gasket. You can see that foam kind of overspilling. That's going to create a nice barrier and stop roots and water from working their way in. So the next thing, we got our hole cleaned up. So you're going to get the bottom right here. Make sure you got everything all dusted off. And you're going to take that foam we were using, that Pond and Stone great stuff, turn it up like that, and just work your way around. And just one of these should be able to do 2 of these. So I'm gonna leave that on there, and I'm gonna do the exact same thing to the outlet side.
one final alignment. Make sure you got it nice. And there we go. Press down a little bit. You start seeing that foam work its way in. And what we're gonna go ahead and do, we're gonna get our lid, put that on top. And we're gonna go ahead and get our old heavy concrete lid and use that to put some weight and let that riser set. We got the inlet side over there and we got the outlet. You can see that foam's already pressing through, and when that hardens, it's gonna create a seal and keep all the dirt, runoff water, all that from getting inside the tank. So this should be pretty much watertight after this install. Whew. So I've got both the outlet and inlet risers setting there. I'm gonna leave that for about 10 minutes or so and then start putting this dirt back on. As you can see, when you get down here, they're gonna stick up a little bit out of the ground, and that's what we want. You don't want the risers sunken down to where grass, dirt and stuff is gonna fall into these screw holes. It's gonna strip them, and then you're gonna have a hard time putting these lids back on. And after September 1st here in Texas, all new installs are gonna be required to have risers extending 2 inches above the surface. So that's about what we got right here. So we're gonna let that sit for a while and then start shoveling some of that dirt back on and raking it up. See it, if we can get it looking pretty nice. Now, a lot of times there is gonna be some extra dirt, so you wanna talk to the customer beforehand, see where they wanna do with all this. Thankfully, we're way out in the country over here, so a lot of times they've got tractors and things like that. They are not afraid to move stuff themselves. So just clarify with your customer what you want to have done. If not, you may have to bring a wheelbarrow out and haul some of this dirt out. And I hope this illustrates that you as a homeowner, if you're not afraid to get your hands dirty, these really are fairly simple to install. And they're going to be a great investment for your septic system, and you're not going to have to pay somebody to dig up your tank every time they come out to pump it. And plus two is on this inlet side. Like I said, if you ever have instances where it's backing up, in this case, this house does not have a sewer clean out, so we're going to recommend installing a clean out as well. But even then, you could just open up this outlet and the inlet baffle is right there. So that is a direct connection from the tank to the house. So you could run a snake, jet it out, and 9 times out of 10 that clog is just right there in the inlet baffle. You can poke it out. And if you want to stay on top of things, you can pop that lid open and get a gauge of how thick the solids are and whether or not you have to have it pumped out. A lot of times people keep it buried and they just guess. They're like, okay, we're going to pump it out every so many years, or in the worst cases I've seen, people do not pump out their septic tank until it starts backing up. And by then, you've got really, really, really large amounts of scum, floating scum, fats, oils, grease, all the sludge at the bottom. And that is going to work its way out to your drain field and wreak havoc on it. So to increase the lifespan of your system, they do not last forever, FYI. To increase the lifespan, pump it out between 2 to 5 years or more, depending on how many people are living in your home, how much water you use, what's being flushed down the drain. And you want to make sure, don't drive, don't build anything over this drain field. Stay away from it. Let it do its thing. And if you follow all the tips I give you, you shouldn't have any problems for a long while. All right, so I raked up around, got enough of a lip, and let's pop off this lid, see what it'll look like inside. So we are directly inside the septic tank. Any gap we have right now is being filled by this foam. Let's move over to the outlet and do the same thing. You can see it right there. That is going to create our seal. So the next step is to see if these concrete lids will fit back in here. A lot of times this lip right here will cause that lid to get stuck. It makes it kind of hard to pull out. So in cases like that, we go ahead and use our safety pan to act as a secondary safety lid. So we're going to use our sewer hook. That way we don't have to bend over and hurt our back. And see if it'll fit. back in the septic tank. So it looks like we got the concrete lids able to fit back inside the riser. Now, a lot of times if you're going to have a homeowner that's elderly or that just isn't able to get these concrete lids off, go ahead and remove them anyway and put that safety pin. You don't want anyone to have to hurt themselves, but all of us here are physically able and we have the right equipment to be able to pull these caps out without hurting ourselves. So now that we can make sure everything's plugged up, we're going to put these lids on and then see the finished product. So our final step is securing this lid with some stainless steel screws. So I'm going to go through, there's 8 screws on each lid, and get these put on. So we got all the screws on the inlet, working over to the outlet. And one thing I was going to tell y'all, you want to make sure these screw holes are lined up, and you also want to make sure that when you're screwing this down, you do not strip these holes. So I usually go slow until it's firm. I don't even wait for it to start ratcheting. Got that screw over there. Once I get into the bottom, I go slow. Once I feel it get secure, I stop. You don't want to just keep driving it and driving it and driving it. It's going to strip, and then you're not going to be able to fasten these screws correctly. Ask me how I found that out. And that's with everything. I mean, you're going to make mistakes along the way. That's the only way to learn, is to fix your mistakes. So if you're ever trying to do anything yourself, don't ever feel discouraged. We all got to start somewhere. All right, so that's the last one. We have a nice set of risers installed. These are rated to about 300 pounds, I believe. Don't want to drive over them, don't want to hit them with the lawnmower, but these things are pretty heavy duty. I'm about 200 pounds. But always make sure you've got the lids fastened. You can read right here, caution, poison gas. Don't ever stick your head in there. Stand back, because you can get harmed. Woo, so that's the video. Soaking wet with sweat. Got my workout in for the day. So yeah, if you have any questions about risers or other things I recommend for septic systems, drop it down in the comments below. And if you want to get you a set of risers right here, I'll drop the company's info down below. But there's a lot of ways to do these risers. So best thing is to check with your state what they recommend and what they allow before proceeding. But yeah, that's the video. And as always, I appreciate y'all watching.